What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to romasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team.
We are live and recording. What's up, bruh?
Hello, Matt.
What's going on, dude?
I'm just looking up my quotes that I like to share with you guys throughout sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got back from my weekend conquest, dude. That was fun.
Oh, yeah, dude. How'd it go?
I was in St. Louis. It was good. It was actually really good. It was, I had fun. I had a good time. I liked the stand-up, all of it. It's just, dude, there was an issue with staff. The staff was a little kind of shitty the whole time, just loud as fuck. Dude, it was kind of crazy.
The staff?
Yeah, dude. But, and again, it was like kind of a design flaw, but because like they had a bar in the within the showroom, and they had another bar. They could, again, I don't know the inner workings of like all this stuff, but it's just dude, it's crazy. Like, everything went well. The shows were great. Everything was cool. It was just, like, you could see people turning around every now and again and looking at them like, dude, shut the fuck up. So it was, like, that was definitely one of those things where, it is, when you see the, and I talked to, Sydney, my friend Sydney Gant came with me, and we talked, like, a lot in detail about just, like, how much it fucks stuff up when you're not into what you're doing or, like, giving a fuck about what you're doing.
Oh,
yeah. It's just, like, it's just crazy how much that and how blind to you can be if you're just like showing up like fuck this whatever. It's like, dude, it just sucks for everybody around you to be like that.
Now, is this the exception to the rule that you really don't have to worry about in the future, or is this something where you feel like you state your needs at the venue to begin with, or is that just like a no because like?
No, I told the manager asked me, and I was like, because it was like it was only 2 shows, and the first one wasn't that bad. It was only that second show. So I was like, I was like, what the fuck? This is weird. But the, it was fine. I had a good set and everything, but it was like, it was just one of those things because I thought about it during when Sydney was on. I was like, I might go like, it was one of those situations where I was like, I might make it worse if I'm like, yo guys, could you please be quiet? Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to leave it be. And I just talked to the manager, how'd you like it? And I was like, your staff is fucking horrible. But I was
Is that what he said?
Yeah. I was like, the staff was abysmal.
Yeah.
He wasn't, whatever. I'm not going to weigh you guys down with in and outs of that, but really the takeaway is like, dude, you got to find something you like to do with yourself, man. You just, it's the task and burden is solely upon you. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
Dude, I just the whole like, fucking this sucks, this job. It's like, that's you, that's on you, bro. That's fully fucking on you. It's not your boss's fault. It's literally your fault that you're at a place you don't like. And it's like, it sounds like a dick thing to say, but it's, I would apply the same thing to myself, though. It's like, well, at least start the process of doing something else with your life. You might do something you hate for a while. Fair enough. But that whole, like, it's just the way it is. It's like, I just disdain that, dude. The older I get, I fucking hate that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, dude, I mean, it crosses into an interesting area of life, which is, like, define what you want. But now you start to interact with other humans. Like you and I talked about a couple weeks ago with my girlfriend, and I stated exactly what I want. And it felt so like crazy liberating. But like when you like inevitably your desires will have to, I don't want to say clash, they will intersect with other humans. So like, for instance, Matt, what you just did right there, you have to, you either stay straight or you go right or you go left, blah, blah, blah. Like, do you have a conversation with that staff? So, for instance, like, when I run, like, my seminars, I've now been doing it for long enough, and I'm at the point of volume where you can get those predictable patterns. So, like, I have to make a decision before I go up and do that stuff when I talk to the staff. Like, I am now extremely direct with them. And some of them I'm sure could be off-putting, and I don't do it like an asshole, but it's like, hey, literally, just to put it in context to it, like, do not come and put water in here during my speech. if somebody asks for water, you do it without ice. Do we agree?
Yeah.
Or like that. That's so. These are so, like to them, it's the first time they're probably ever like doing something like this, or the first time anybody's ever asked like, don't fucking put ice in the water. But it's like, I've been doing this long enough. Just please, let's be on the same page. And if you're not, like, then we're gonna have to chat about it. But at least I'm giving them the opportunity to comply with my terms ahead of time. So, and I feel like a lot of people, even if they cross the chasm of defining what they want, they are very hesitant, understandably so, to tell others their specific requirements for what they want.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And it's like usually, too, with again, a specific thing of a comedy club, it's nice because you're like, usually the staff knows the deal. It's like, all right, I got to be quiet. I can't spike bottles in the trash as loud as humanly possible. It's like there's just like shit like you do in a bar. Like, yeah, you for some reason bartenders throw bottles in the trash as hard as they fucking can, which I actually get. That's kind of fun to do, but yeah, man, it is one of those things where in the middle of a live show, it's a risk because if you're like, hey, be quiet, there's the chance of fucking like, and then just like even louder as possible. Dip. And I was just like not taking the chance, just letting it go.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it is one of those things where luckily we're going to the next club we're going to is Indianapolis, and that Indianapolis manager happened to be at this club filling in for the other manager because he was sick. So he was like, it's nice. He's like, it was kind of seemed like, hey, wait till you come to my club. It's a little, it'll be a little more, it'll be run like a little more well-oiled machine. But yeah, no, that is important, dude. And it's important too to like, now that we know that, because that was like, I haven't seen those kind of conditions in forever. Like, especially at a club, I was like, this is crazy. So,
dude, well, it's very interesting because I wanted to talk to you about this last night. So I went to Vegas and drive up and back, and then I noticed myself. My brain is like I'm cursed with that same disease with that guy. What's his name? Larry David. That show you used to watch in college. Curb Your Enthusiasm, right?
Curb Your Enthusiasm, yeah.
Like how he's cannot help dissecting everything. The problem is he's funny, like, and I'm not. So I dissect everything, and there's no like joyous thing at the end of it. It's just fucking like just hardcore analysis and makes everybody else around me miserable. So my girlfriend and I are driving to and from Vegas, and I'm like trying to teach her, and she doesn't give a shit. Like, I'm trying to teach her like about why the people ahead of us are driving incorrectly. Because like if you remember back from statistics class, like traffic snakes and so on, like the reason that traffic jams are caused. But anyway, I thought, and then I ended up watching this video when she was taking a nap. I was like, I want to get more, learn more about this. So what happens is, have you ever like researched traffic snakes by any chance? Or like come across this? It's very fascinating. So basically, the majority of traffic jams, I mean, almost all of them are caused by human error, specifically two factors: discoordination and overbraking. Right, so like if you imagine you're stopped at a stoplight, you'd get much more throughput if everybody coordinated their gas system. Does that make sense? Like, green light turns on and everybody presses the gas at the same time. But what happens is green light turns on, car number one goes, car number two waits to like visually see, or if they're looking at their fucking phone, whatever. Car number one goes, then they press gas, and so you get this like very disjointed movement forward, right? The same thing happens in reverse. When the example that the video gives is like if like the whole idea of highways is so you don't have these intersections to create that lack of uniformity, right? That lack of effort or of uniform effort, right? But so if you can imagine if you're all on a highway and then a chicken crosses the road, right? Well, that chicken is going to cause car number one to slow down. But if car number two is too close to car number one, the probability is very high that they overbrake because now they got to react and like jerk, and then that causes the next car behind them, because they're not like, they might not be paying attention, or human reaction time is slow, then they overbrake on the overbraking, right? So, and this is so funny because you don't even need a chicken to cross the road, right? Like you could just have somebody tailgating too closely to the car in front of them, if that makes sense. So all of a sudden you have this traffic snake pattern caused, and they call it the phantom intersection. And it just reminds me of like human interaction. And like if the mathematically appropriate way to drive is to be equidistant from the car ahead of you as to the car behind you, if that makes sense. So if the car ahead of you stops, there's time for you to absorb it without braking. Like, does that make sense? And the other car can move without you slowing down to zero, let's say. But the cool part about it is mathematically, if you turn that straight highway into a circle, right, and you cause that phantom intersection, then the snaking pattern would never stop, essentially. Does that make sense? Because the car in front of you stops, you cause the snaking pattern. The car originally who stopped them would go to the back of the snake. Does that make sense? So you'd have this continuous feedback loop. Does that make sense? Let me know if I'm...
Well, yeah, and it would eventually... That makes sense. It would eventually stop itself, you're saying? Because it would encounter the brake lights it caused, and then
it would keep on running into itself, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you can get a uniform effect, like Gunther is saying, like in engineering, like there's a preference towards circles because it can tend to smooth out. But if there's a kink in the hose, that kink will end up like keep on feeding back on itself. And it's just so fascinating because you can use a lot of this analogy with human interaction, right? Like if we had a family, like let's say my girlfriend and I had a family together and we were trying to get to a destination and each one of us is in our own cars. Do we have appropriate distancing between ourselves? And are we uniformly, right, like compliant with each other? Or are we too up on each other and then causing this overbraking, overreaction and so on? It's so disjointed effort and overreaction. And the chain that can cause is kind of like that feedback, like that traffic circle. It can keep on going to where many families and many businesses, many just group dynamics can slowly die a dysfunctional death because the dysfunction keeps on happening. For instance, like the whole reason I'm saying this, that bar is an example of a systemic phantom intersection, right? I guarantee you it's not the first time that they are throwing bottles in the fucking, in the trash can, creating all this noise and therefore creating, right, this disjointed and overbreaking effort on the side of the comedian, and then that intersects into the crowd and so on. And then they do it again the next night, but then each fucking time less and less people come and then the business goes away. This is why I can't stand when people bring up like, 9 out of 10 businesses fail. It's like, yeah, because 9 out of 10 businesses and 9 out of 10 families are fucking highly dysfunctional. Like highly, highly dysfunctional. So if they just study traffic patterns, they'd understand.
Yeah, really. Yeah, no, it's yeah, man. I mean, again, it definitely begs the thing that's on my mind a lot is like just how important it is to snag yourself out of the going through the motions approach to life. It's like you have to get out of it, and it's so hard to see you're in it because the majority of people are in it.
Yep.
So it's like, you'll be the very thing, in my opinion, that causes people a ton of personal distress and kind of confusion in life is so ubiquitous that it's like if you bring it up, people are like, dude, stop being weird. And it's like, no, like you don't understand. Like if you're again, you're sitting there, you're like, fuck this job, it sucks, it's the only thing I can do right now, blah blah blah. Then you just end up kind of typically acting sort of dickish rather than being like, yeah, this is the only thing I can do right now, but I'm going to get a foothold, save up some money, and then investigate. And it's like, dude, your circumstances are totally the same, but you've adopted a change in mindset, and now, again, you're questing at the same place where before you're just kind of like, this sucks, I can't take this. It's like, this is a means to an end. But if you don't have any end in mind, it's like, it's a free fall. And it's...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and dude, Gunther asked a phenomenal question, if I see it correctly. What type of example can we practice to keep our crews on 72? Phenomenal fucking example. So you just think of like the examples on the road, like oftentimes what causes traffic jams and traffic snakes is somebody coming over from like far left lane, last minute trying to get over to the fucking exit. So boom, like, veers across the track. So you get that invisible chicken crossing the road. So it creates this jam. My theory on this, and my philosophy on this, is make your intentions known. So a couple things. Number one, make your desires and intentions known, and have integrity around those, right? So you're not veering off all of a sudden. So for instance, I'll bring up another family that I'm very familiar with, right? Like this family lives together, and the parents like got this house, and the whole plan was for the parents to stay in this house for a year, then they were going to move away, and the adult kids, their adult children, were going to live in the house after that. Well, last minute, the parents decide not to move, right? Like when the lease was going to go up, not to move, and then tell the kids to get out, right? This is a very severe, right? Like right turn into oncoming traffic, right? Like not oncoming, but like into parallel traffic. And now all of a sudden, like there's this fucking scramble, right? That's a pure example of boom, traffic snake now created because of your like lack of preparation, right? And lack of communication to the drivers around you. The other thing is like, so that's the communication relative to your peers, right? On your highway. The prerequisite to that is planning yourself, right? Like thinking, that's what we do on this team. Like thinking far enough ahead, using your fucking brain to develop abstractions in the future to see which path is best for you, right? So like you don't have to, like you can say, okay, I have to get off at the exit in mile 2 if I want to get to fucking, San Diego. So I'm going to start moving over now. But if I don't think that I need to get to San Diego well enough ahead of time, then it's going to cause a traffic jam. So then it's like, okay, but then also when you're in a coordinated effort with other humans, are you playing out those abstractions with others? One of my main critiques of being in a relationship, like this has been one of my main critiques, and no disrespect towards females, but from my experience, it's been very difficult to have conversations with people that I've dated in the past when we are trying to figure out options, because some of those options are not pleasant. For instance, as an elementary example, what do you want to do for Christmas? Right? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about options. Well, you can't say, I want to go home and leave you here, right? Like that's not an option to talk about, even though it's a very realistic option that could happen, right? Like you want to spend time with your family. I want to spend time with my family. One of those options could be we just both independently spend time with our families. But if the conversation gets too emotionally flooded and we can't have that discussion, well, we now set ourselves up in the future for inevitably when I fly home to Philadelphia, right, and go spend time with my family for Christmas and you stay here. Does that make sense? Like having that coordinated effort and that conversation well ahead of time so we can coordinate our traffic patterns.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, when you plan things in advance first, last minute. Absolutely, dude.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And be willing to have the full breadth of the discussions. For instance, this person's family, they should have talked about contingency plans. Okay, what if the parents don't move out? What happens then? Okay, if we don't move out, then we would all stay here for another year. Blah, blah, like whatever it is. But now, because that shit was never fucking discussed, everybody's going in this schizophrenic fucking, like, not only are they veering off on a fucking, going over a 4-lane highway, it's snowing and fucking sleeting, cars are spinning around, it's fucking crazy. And now, like, they all hate each other. It's like, is that what we wanted? Is that really what we wanted? We couldn't handle the 5 discussions it would have taken 6 months ago, right? Like, it's too emotionally flooding to do that. So anyway. So study traffic patterns. It's a good fucking study.
Hey dudes, sorry for the interruption here. Just wanted to let you know if you want to join our pro team, go to romasteam.com/pro. You can help support the channel. You will also get access to exclusive content, masterminds, one-on-one sessions, etc. All right, back to the episode.
Yeah, man. No, it really is. It's you can definitely sidestep a lot of the surprises and kind of shocks of life if you just have some sort of plan at all. If you have any sort of, it's just like everything that pops up, you can just you have a thing to filter it through. But I'm like a broken record with that. But it's like it was just so mind blowing to me because it's one of those things that in theory you go, yeah, obviously I could see that, but it's like if you practice it, it's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
So, dude, what is I saw a while back someone said they were going to. Hopefully they're. I don't know if Donovan Ari said he had an interview for a leadership position with his company about 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah. Let me see. Let me see if I can snag you on here real quick. If you can, if you can't come on, don't worry about it. But I'd love to see what's going on with that. Yep, my answer rejected. Well, good luck with that, and let us know how it goes. But what is so what's your goal for the week? What's the plan for the week right now? Where you kind of like how are you practically putting things in motion for all your goals and stuff?
Yeah, great question. So I'm trying not to get shot with a paintball gun for 15 times. So I'm working on these scripts. So what was the date that we gave? Might have to watch another episode, but I think. Do you remember the date?
I don't remember, but I think it was April, maybe April and March. I forget.
Yeah. For some reason, April comes up. But anyway, I'm trying to. So I'm writing scripts, and dude, I can tell you, I never thought I would say this. Physically writing things out by hand has been the most like therapeutic thing that I've done in a long time.
Yeah.
Like combining meditative practice with thinking and just like slowing down. Oh, dude, and I'm using a fountain pen now. I'm obsessed with it. So, the theme for this year, and Matt, I was talking to the guys on Friday about it, is I'm creating cluster vision boards. So not just my main vision board, but like a cluster vision board. Like I've got like, let's say like a female one, and it's like all the things that I need to be to like keep on earning the female, like my female blah, right. But one of the main themes for this year for business is to build up my game of business so that I only show up to do my thing. Like my business coach has been trying to coach me on this for years, that treat yourself, your life and your business like you're the athlete. So for instance, I went to Vegas this past weekend to see Sebastian Maniscalco. I think that's how you say his name. He's a stand-up comedian. Hilarious. But what he does is he shows up and he does his craft. He doesn't get the stage ready. He doesn't sell the tickets. He doesn't do like any of this stuff. He shows up to do his craft. I'm finally ready to like enter onto that scene, if that makes sense. Like with like all of the automated marketing. We're not there completely, but we're almost there to the point where like we now hired extra staff. So they're doing a lot of the stuff. So it's pretty wild. Like a lot of stuff is just getting done. I'm like, whoa, like you're doing it way better than I ever could have. And it's on time, like, and all this shit. So it's getting kind of funky where it's like, I just spend my time on my words. Like that has always been my goal. I love words. I love talking. I love speaking. I love thinking thoughts, like, and all that stuff, and getting people to learn something and then have like transformative education experience where they're different after the discussion. So that's like my goal. So that's my goal this week and forever in my career. Trying to keep on building towards that platform. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. So you're doing so how does that break down, like practically bit by bit? Like what do you? So you're doing. So you said you're writing the scripts for the videos, and how are you tying those videos into? Like how does the business? Like how should I ask this? How did the videos tie into like your mother business, or like is there a connection, or is it helping you in other areas of your business?
Yeah,
how's
dude.
That?
Yeah, so these are all like the things that I'm writing up and everything, and there's the scripts and I don't know. There's probably like 40 pages between all of these. But yeah, it's all tying in. Like I just love teaching. That is my whole thing. Like I love taking my experiences and learning and synthesizing them down and sharing them with you. And I want you to share them with me and the guys and so on. I just love that, right? Like because I fucking grew up in an environment where information flow was restricted. Number one, we didn't have the internet. But number two, I was poor. So it's like that's why I can understand when people say, oh, it's like hard to break through to the next level, or there's this pressure that people don't know. Like I never experienced any like coordinated effort of pressure, but I definitely experienced the difficulty it takes to get from like one rung of the ladder to the next rung of the ladder. Because it's not like I can just go up to the CEO of JP Morgan and say, hey, my name's Wes. Like, can we chat about how you got here? Right. So like, it's just my mission. Literally, I know it sounds corny, but to do exactly that, right? Like that's why I told the guys on Friday, hey, we were talking about finance. Like I made roughly 300 to 350 last year in personal income. I'm just telling you that because it's important for you to fucking know like where I'm at. So that way, when you're listening to me, you can put it through the filter. So if you think I make $5 million a year, I don't, right? Like, so I can't teach you necessarily how to make $5 million a year. I can tell you what like I've seen from clients and so on. That's kind of valuable. But like, do you know what I mean? And it's also like, I also didn't make $10,000 a year. So you can start to calibrate my level of, I don't want to say advice, but my level of sharing. So if you're trying to follow a similar path, there it is. I never really had anybody openly tell me that stuff when I was growing up. So I had to go off on all these fucking tangents and figure it out like, oh, this guy who's trying to get me to join this business is part of a multi-level marketing scheme. Right now I'm off 6 months doing this, and this shithead's just lying. Like that. So anyway,
they get everybody once. The pyramid schemes get everybody once.
Yeah, exactly. So like my whole career, Rhomas and my daytime career is all geared towards that, right? Like learning every single fucking thing I can about what I'm interested in or that domain, and then sharing the reality of at least my interpretation of the reality with them. No false readings. No, I'm just trying to do this for money. Like none of that bullshit. Like just a conduit for teaching. So anyway, so yeah, that's
Nice.
how these works play into my weekly.
Nice, man. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I have.
And Rhomas, that's what I want to finish that. Like keep on working on that. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's nice to hear your stuff got kind of automated too. Where that's a weird feeling to walk away from things that are just being done for you. Where you're like, "You guys sure you got it? You sure?" Something, and it's like, it's just really nice. Yeah, that's important, dude. Like I said, I know you say like, "Oh man, it kind of sounds corny. It might sound corny or this or that," but it's like having an overarching focus that you could like that's kind of general. I think helps as well. Of like with all of my stuff, I just I just think of people I know like intimately how badly you can be tortured sitting at a job you find meaningless, boring, or dumb. Like I hate that. So like part of the thing I like to do is help alleviate the shit aspect of job by just creating stuff people can listen to and have fun with. That's like, because again, like you were saying, it's like, I could try to position myself and do all the, like internet marketing stuff to be like, I'm going to have the top rated, I want to be number one. I genuinely don't fucking care. Like, I just want to continue creating content, having fun, and getting feedback from people who are like, hey, I really like this. It makes my job suck less. And I'm like, awesome. Like, because at the end of the day, once you start paying all your bills, you see extra money and you just go like, sweet, And it's until it's attached, for me at least, it's until it's attached to something else that I think would kind of like change my setup. Or again, one of my top goals 2022 is getting a workspace. I want one so bad.
Fucking right, dude.
Warehouse type workspace where I can like put stuff. I can move our podcast studio so it's like we do typically Matt and Shane's. We do it in New York now, which I like that a lot. But I would have like a little Philadelphia satellite type thing where I could like if we're ever here, we can do it there. I could go there and write. If I wanted to do like I'm really kind of getting into the idea of doing like meditation coaching, or I've come to the grips with the fact that I still want to use my degree, the thing I learned, like got my master's degree in, but I don't want to deal with the insurance and the licensing. I don't want to do that. I have no desire. So I want to kind of figure out a way to do like even if it's like meditation classes or like tinker around with like therapeutic coaching, I believe it would have to be called.
Fucking right.
Yeah, so I'm messing around with. I've been thinking about that a lot because again, it's like, how do you keep yourself? For me personally, it's like, how do I keep myself aligned in the things that really make me like fully feel like online and vital? And it's like, I really, really like kind of like you were saying, Wes, like talking to people in a way, like taking the insurmountable, just humongous problems of life and like watching and helping people kind of weasel their way through them or navigate them or put them in a different perspective. It's such a, it's like that's something I find infinitely rewarding, and I really like to do it.
Oh, dude, not only would I say you'll be phenomenal at it, I would say the internet, in my opinion, you'll probably go further. Actually, no, let me scratch it. You will go further faster without by circumnavigating the traditional system. So for instance, I was just talking to a therapist not too long ago, right? I've got a guy out here, a client out here, brilliant guy, but he's in a little bit of a slump, because of his mindset, right? So I call a therapist, call a therapist back in Pennsylvania and say, hey, this guy wants to learn cognitive behavioral therapy, he wants to go through therapy sessions. She literally worked for the guy who created cognitive behavioral therapy, right? You can't get better than that, except for the guy, but unfortunately he passed away, right? So you literally cannot get a better person, literally. But because of her licensing, it goes by state. She cannot practice with him over here in California.
It's like, what the fuck?
How does that make sense?
Because it's insurance. I dislike that a lot. And for me, it's like, I already have, I've been fortunate enough now where for now at least my income's covered. So it's like, I don't need to necessarily blow the lid off the roof financially. This is just a thing that I personally enjoy. So it's like, you know, as long as it's something where like I'm at least like my time's being compensated, I'll be able to have like a sliding scale and all that other stuff. But I do, and you know, and I'm not going to go crazy. I'm going to just do little by little and do it in a way where it's like it's 6 weeks max, and then it's 6 weeks off. Because I'm not in the business of just sucking money out of people. Like, we have a detailed thing. Here's all the points that we're going to try to hit. We're going to do 6 weeks. Then you're going to take some time to do this shit on your own, because that's the whole point of it, really. You know, kind of go from there. But I do, this year, I do want to start doing something like that. So,
dude, well, and for the guys listening, like, this is like some hardcore stuff. You know, that like, if Matt, if it's okay, I'd love to go through this with you, right? Like,
sure.
This is an example of like teammates saying, okay, shit, like, this is what you want. There might be some knowledge gaps or emotional gaps or whatever. So it's just helpful to have like a round robin discussion. So for instance, Matt, if you're okay with going through that, is that cool with you?
Sure,
Maybe
yeah,
some
absolutely.
guys can learn through that. Like, okay, so first things first, like with it's both of these are super straightforward and simple in my opinion, like the steps forward. Number one, have you looked for, like, what's holding you back from looking for office space? Like, because I know you said it for a little while now. Is it just next on the list, or
it's
what?
just me being like, once I make a little more money, like once I increase my income to the point where I could pay, say, like $1,400 a month and not be like, fuck, which I probably could do now. It's just, I don't know. I'm always like in my head, like, I don't have any money, because it's just like how I'm like, I can't do that. So what I'm doing is once we start running ads and I see some sort of monthly income from that, as soon as I have like make that in ads, it's going right to getting a space. Once I feel like it's locked in.
So you're going to start running ads, and then do you have somebody to run those ads?
Yeah, we have like an agency and stuff.
Got it.
No. I'm saying we have ads. Once we do ads on Matt and Shane's, that's like another source of income, and then I'm taking that income specifically and going and getting a space.
Got it. And then what are you looking for? Let's say you have a space. What does that space provide you? Like, what exactly are you looking for?
Just like a totally uninterrupted workspace, like somewhere I could go and just have like, you know, just, it wouldn't be in my house. I wouldn't be cramped down in my basement. I'd have like an area it would be, and this is really one of the main things that I've been thinking about is like, for some reason I had this thing in my head where it's like, well, I can't do stand-up and do that. I have to do one or the other. And in my head, I'm like, that's not it. I was thinking about that. I was in the airport yesterday, and I'm like, that's not true at all. Because it's like, you know, I don't necessarily, again, I don't want to, you know, go full bore on the stand-up. I like doing stand-up, but it's like, I don't want to be gone, you know, 3 weeks out of the month. Like, I'm not going to do that. So it's like, I'm in a weird position because I'd love to pour all my time and attention into one thing, but it's just not my... It's not in my DNA,
dude.
It's not in my DNA to do that. Dude, but it's like,
look at like, we don't need to reference many case studies.
Yeah.
Basically, look at every single performer ever. Right, like from Britney Spears to, like, I don't know, like, you know, I imagine the first 20 celebrity like performers that I could bring up, they're all burnt out. Right, because they're forced to solely do this one thing. They eventually become a monkey, and then eventually they get addicted to some sort of fucking drugs because it's you know, their escape. Like, dude, Joe Rogan's a perfect example. Right, like fucking, he does 5 different things that he loves. There's no reason that you can't.
Absolutely.
And dude, you have such a hell of a head start. Well, you built your head start with like Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast, like all that stuff. Like it's so funny because your actual life is contradicting your internal monologue about it.
For sure.
You know, you're already doing several things and you're successful at them. I would throw out an option to you. Have you ever considered maybe as an intermediary step, like going, for instance, to a college like Drexel or something like that, where they have these common area spaces where not a lot of people like hang out, and they have great views over the city and so on. Like, you could use that as, quote, your office, or join like a high-end gym in the city, or like even something like the Union League or something, where you can go and use their common spaces, and it's a fraction of the price of an office space. Does that make sense? Oh,
yeah,
dude.
no, the only thing is I'm going to have a thing where there's like, I need my computer. I need like the full setup of like computers, microphones. I want to have like an area of it that is set up to be a studio. That's not a bad idea, but I do want to have a place that it's like, I close the doors, it's mine. I have it all. I want to like literally deck it out from kind of, you know, floor to wall to ceiling and all that stuff.
Yeah, totally. No, I totally get it. So yeah, my vote there would be for you to consider, like, is there an intermediary step? So you're like, yeah, you might have to sacrifice having your full setup there and so on. Although I do know a guy, he's a video editor, like very high-end video editor. He just carries around his fucking like literally like he carries his fucking computer, his desktop computer in a bag with him to his office. The other thing is, like, now that I know, so do you want to do individual therapy or group therapy?
Both.
A combination? Both. Got it.
Yeah, combination, but it really just kind of, you know, I would like to do groups because it's more cost effective for everyone. And then if people do want to do like a one-on-one thing, figure out a way where it's like, it doesn't necessarily break the bank, and it isn't like, you know, me spending, because if I do spend too much of my time and don't get anything, I'll just be like, oh, I could be fucking writing right now, and I'll start getting like, you know.
Yeah.
So just figuring out a way where like it doesn't break the bank, and then again, it's like, it's always the way I kind of wanted it to be done, where it's like, it's very focused. It's not like, you know, all right, we'll just come in and talk for an hour and we'll just, you know, your insurance will cover it, and we'll just kind of dig through all this stuff, and maybe it'll take 3 years. We don't know, you know, who knows? It's like, this would be very focused, very much like 6 weeks, you know, and then after 6 weeks, if you were to be like, this was an absolute waste of my time, then, you know, be like, all right, well, let's figure something out. Because again, I'm not really, it's not much of a, it's more so I just enjoy the feeling of like helping people kind of navigate situations, like you were saying, Wes, rather than having to kind of run through 9 million twists and tangles and be like, oh, Jesus Christ, I could have avoided all this.
Yeah.
So,
because I think you should use, in my opinion, consider using a Rhomas as one of your conduits to that final thing. So for instance, if we have a conversation here, like you bringing it up, so if anybody wants to, like, you know, to do one of Matt's sessions or a 6-week session, like they now hear it on here, and we can build, I finally know how to build a landing page. Like, we can build a landing page for you on Rhomas or whatever, or like put this link in the show notes and say, like, if you do want to sign up for, you know, a group session or an individual session with Matt, because I would love to support you in that goal, man.
Thanks, man. Well, yeah, like I said, it's just a matter of also figuring out like how many hours a week could I give to it. It's like, you know, currently probably like 5 or 6, and it's like, you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, you do that and see how it goes and work with it, and kind of, again, the idea would be it'd be a short-term intervention, where the idea is not to do it forever. It's like, we're going to do this for 6 weeks, you're going to have homework, all that kind of stuff, and we can reassess whether or not you want to do it again, but there will be like 6-week off cooling period just to let people kind of do stuff for themselves.
Oh yeah. So, and Ray's saying Lucas as well. Yeah, could totally build that infrastructure for you, man. Like, I would love to see that happen for you, dude.
Right now, the other thing I'm waiting for too is I'm in the process of building like a kind of on paper program too. So like, because I do like acceptance and commitment therapy, but I also, there's some like gaps in that I like to fill with other stuff. So I want to have like a thing that I could almost like hit people with like a 1 or 2 pager and be like, here's all of the shit we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Dude, you know, I think would be fucking awesome, or at least I'll tell you what, like, stuff that I have like purchased as a result. So like the I don't know, for lack of better terminology, like the guru or the company, right, will create little like micro satellite videos. So for instance, let's just say it's cognitive behavioral therapy and they're talking about thought errors, right? They'll go and create a video on one of the thought errors. Right, so like, let's just, I don't know, what's a thought error in cognitive behavioral therapy? Future
black
casting,
all that stuff.
or black and white thinking, right? Like black and white thinking. So then they do, or catastrophizing, like Ray's saying. So they do a video on catastrophizing, give an example, teach you the ins and outs, and give it enough of a tangible example where the person's like, oh, like, yeah, I do that all the time. And at the end of the video, they say, hey, like, if this is something you're interested in, you can keep on watching our videos, or if you want to go a little deeper with me, right, like, click the link below and schedule a meeting, like something like that. Like, I could see a very simple, like, bridge to you from those little satellite things. So anyway, just as some food for thought.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, like I said, just be a matter of doing it in a way where, you know, that's the only lamentable fact of it. It was like I'd only be able to technically do it part-time, so I'd be kind of really taking it slow, and doing more of it would be like slow and steady, really figuring out, like, you know, what's the actual reality of it. Because I did do talk therapy with high school kids, and I've loved it. I really, really enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Oh, I loved it so much. It's a harrowing fucking endeavor. That's like, you know, it starts to freak you out a little, but it's like it's really cool. So that's something in 2020. That's like 2022 goal is to, again, just have all my creative projects going, keep developing them. You know, hopefully I should have a book out. I will have one book out before 2023, no doubt, and be started on the other book. So I'll be like stand up, you know, once every couple months, podcast every week. I also want to start. I have an idea for the other one I do with Sydney and Butterly, Stoner Dads, which it would require, again, that's another reason I need a physical space, because like the show itself would require a certain specific type of table, which is where somebody could be stored underneath it, almost in like a tomb setup, which would be like mic'd and cam. It'd be very fun.
Yes.
I can't get too much into it. But so it's like I need a space. It's occurring to me like I need my fantasy factory, dude, like Rob Dyrdek. I need that. I just need a place I can go to.
Dude.
That's just like all of my I have tons of space to do all the stuff I want to do. So, and I think once, if I get it and just suck up the money and pay it, and like, all right, this is going to be a year, I think within a year I'll be like able to cover the rent of the place, I think.
I fucking love it, man.
X, Y, and Z. So I do need the fantasy factory's been calling me for a long time, and it's like I need it. Dude,
can I throw out a recommendation to you?
Yeah.
So have you ever seen the documentary on Netflix called, oh shit, it's about the climbing dude? I just watched it last night on the way home from Vegas. It was fucking amazing.
Free Solo?
No, it's not Free Solo. It's damn it. Let me look this up. Let's see. Netflix.
The Alpinist?
Yes.
Nice.
Dude, that it just hit me like if I'm gonna watch that again because I was kind of distracted. Like my girlfriend was kind of watching it off to the side. Holy shit! I don't want to like give you too much detail, but I would say if you have a chance, like watch that.
Check it out.
It's not about business at all, but it's just like it's fucking cool. It's really fucking cool, and maybe that it gave me a slightly, if not significantly different perspective on a lot of things in life, and business is one of them. And just kind of like going all out and like properly calibrating risks and like living your true self and finding others who will want to live that with you and let you live out your true self. Yeah, I think you'll get some interest in it.
Hell yeah, man. No, dude, I'll definitely check that out. I had the same feeling when I watched Jiro Dreams of Sushi. That was, for me, I was like, whoa, it's all this guy fucking does.
Yep.
He loves it. So yeah, that is the goal, man. And it's just, again, just stay in that space of like, again, creating content, like, because that was the only thing that always tripped me up. I do like the therapy stuff and everyone's too fucking serious. And then I do like the stand-up stuff and everyone's like too much into stand-up in a way where like you can't do anything else. And it's like, I just want to do both of those things in a way that, you know, it's just kind of just both work.
Yeah, that's why I think like having discussions of workability rather than just like rules of thumb because of our ancestors or like prior generations and so on. It's like, dude, don't put me in your fucking box, right? Like I don't come from the generation that had to work at Boeing for 45 years, right? Like that's just not how it works anymore. You can do that if you want to, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Right. So like discussing things through a workability standpoint rather than just like an old dogma standpoint. It's like, dude, like we were saying, there's zero reason why you can't have 5 hours per week on your schedule of individual therapy sessions. Like unless there's a workable reason that can't happen.
Exactly.
Right. But most people don't have that. Right. It's just like this thought, I can't do that. Well, fucking explain to me the math of why you can't do that.
Yep. That's been a big thing that I've been really like trying to work on. When those kind of blocks come up, I've been getting good at being like, yeah, that's just that's like in a more of a emotionally based hang up of just some weird thought pattern I have that just it's not, you know. And it's like, you know, again, one of my favorite mantras from the ACT stuff is like, just let your experience tell you whether or not you can do something rather than just filtering it through your head. That's like, no. It's like, well, what's that based off of? It's like, you can't do that. It's like, there's no substance to it. It's like, rather than like, try it out, see how it goes, and then, you know, kind of go from there.
Yeah.
So,
and dude, here's the wild thing. Before, it used to be more difficult because you had to kind of build a deeper level of infrastructure to end up to use your craft, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like if you wanted to fucking fill up a room for stand-up comedy, I imagine at some point you had to be the fucking guy to get the people in the room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
you had to put posters on doors, like knock on doors, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now it's like you said a few weeks ago, I just send out an Instagram message or put it on my Instagram, whatever the fuck it is, right? Like, and 100 people show up or 50 people show up or whatever it is. So the infrastructure took you 5 seconds to put out. So every time, like you just collapse the admin time and you expand the craftsmanship time. And that's just fucking awesome.
No, absolutely, man. But yeah, that's the one big thing too for this year. It's like, dude, I'm telling you, if you're watching this, listening, and you're like, I'm genuinely, I talk to people all the time. Like, I just hate what the fuck I'm doing. It's like, dude, welcome to 97% of the world who also would be like, yeah, dude. A lot of people would say that's life. It's like, yeah, no, I would say that's not the case. And it's like a very small percentage of people will say, let me sit and imagine what I could potentially do and take the risk that is going and doing something that I find personally more rewarding. It's like, dude, it must be done this year. It has to be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't have.
Yeah. And then if anybody's, oh, sorry, Matt, did I cut you off?
No, that was it.
If anybody's battling with that whole risk discussion, literally, like I've talked about this before, there is no riskless path. That is a false belief, right? Like there literally is, like there's risk on both sides. So you either it's that whole thing. You either take the pain of the discipline or pain of the regret. But like to think that there's a riskless path is so unbelievably false. It's not even funny.
Yep. This is the so the one thing I'm writing. I've been doing a thing where like I don't know how I'm gonna break it up, but I like throwing these little quotes that I've been just stumbling across.
Hell yeah.
There's a quote from Kierkegaard, and by not venturing, it is so dreadfully easy to lose that which would be difficult to lose in even the most venturesome venture. If I had ventured in this, it's very wordy. It says, but the quote is, by not venturing, it is so dreadfully easy to lose that which it would be difficult to lose in even the most venturesome venture. So basically being like, by not venturing, it's even easier to lose things than it is taking the most risky possible path you can take. Because here's what he says, for if I had ventured amiss, very well, then life helps me by its punishment. But if I had not ventured at all, who then helps me? Basically, you don't know. You're just sitting there, and then clocks out, and you're like, oh, shit. No, there's no feedback for not doing shit other than you just sitting there not doing shit. But when you actually do stuff, life kind of swats you and tempers you back to where you need to be. You have an external force to butt up against rather than not being butt up against anything, and then you don't really get shaped into anything.
I love it.
Pretty wordy quote, but basically being like, dude, even if you do the riskiest shit in the world, you'll definitely lose if you don't do anything at all.
Oh yeah, it's guaranteed loss, 100%. And Ray threw up a great quote out there. So the road to success is always under construction by Steve Harvey. That's really good.
Love Steve Harvey.
That's a really good. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm telling you, I love him, man. Everyone always ironically is like, ugh. It's like I love Steve Harvey. I listen to his like radio show sometimes, catch his little sermons, and I'm like, man, I love this guy.
Yeah, he's a beast. Awesome, dude. Anything else, brother?
That's it, man. That's the goal this week is just kind of getting my writing done every day. And kind of just every day focusing myself on the health stuff, the diet, no refined sugar whatsoever, 2022. So I've been doing pretty good on that.
Zero?
I'm talking
zero refined sugar. Holy shit.
I saw a cough drop the other day, read the bag, and said, no cough drops for me. High fructose corn syrup.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going through great lengths to avoid it.
Wow. Okay. So refined sugar.
So like if I can have like maple syrup, if I wanted to make myself like something and put maple syrup in it, fair enough. And I wouldn't like pig on it, but it's like anything that has white sugar, like cane sugar.
So you can't have birthday cake this year.
I don't want it. Or I can make my own one with like maple syrup.
You don't want birthday cake?
I could sweeten a cake with bananas.
That's true.
So
wow. All right, man. Yeah. I respect it. Holy shit.
Dude, 0 grams. I don't want any. So.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, man, I respect the hell of it. All right, dude. Well, let's do it. Good luck this week, brother.
Thank you, man. You too.
All right, dudes. Have a great week.
See you guys.